Welcome to the video game Hoaxes and Rumors Iceberg, Tier 1, Shang Long. Shang Long is a character hoax in the Street Fighter series, created by Electronic Gaming Monthly as an April Fool's prank in 1992. Back before the internet was extremely accessible and easy to use, most people got their gaming news from magazines, one of the bigger ones being Electronic Gaming Monthly. Aside from the normal gaming news though, this magazine series always did special entries on April Fools. And for this April Fool's entry, they decided to capitalize on a mistranslation suggesting the existence of a character named Shang Long in Street Fighter 2. The mistranslation came from dialogue like this, where a character would tell you that you need to defeat Shang Long to stand a chance. Well, that sounds like a person's name, and many people playing Street Fighter 2 at the time thought the same. Turns out this was a mistranslation of the move Dragon Punch. On the Electronic Gaming Monthly magazine, at the very bottom, it even says it's an April Fool's entry, but I imagine if you're a kid reading about a new secret character in your favorite video game, you're gonna be too distracted to see that. Polybius. Polybius is a fake 1981 video game that everyone thought was real. The legend goes that Polybius was a government-run psychology experiment based in Portland, Oregon. The gameplay supposedly produced psychoactive and addictive effects in the player, and negative effects such as seizures, amnesia, insomnia, night terrors, and hallucinations. These few publicly staged arcade machines were said to have been visited periodically by men in black for the purpose of data mining the machines and analyzing these effects. About a month after its supposed release in 1981, Polybius is said to have disappeared without a trace. What's really weird about Polybius though is that there's zero evidence of it existing. Yeah, it's a hoax, but there weren't many rumors or any April Fool's articles going around. There's just nothing. This entire game and story came out of seemingly just paranoia for technology becoming more advanced. L is Real 2401, and before you click off this video, there is actually news on this one. L is Real is a very over talked about rumor / hoax, but we actually have some news on this one, like I said. This all took place in Mario 64, but if you haven't played Mario 64, it's a single player game where only Mario is the playable character. But everyone thought originally it was gonna have Luigi, or he was hidden somewhere in the game. The name L is Real 2401 comes from the statue in the courtyard of Peach's castle that people thought said Eternal Star or L is Real 2401. I can't see the Eternal Star part myself, but if you squint you can sort of see how people thought it said L is Real. Many people believed the 2401 stood for the amount of coins you would have to get in the game, and people believed if you got the same amount of coins and came back to the statue, Luigi would emerge. And well, you can't do that, but there is news on this. On July 25th, 2020, there was a massive Nintendo leak with internal documents detailing Nintendo's consoles and source codes for various games. One of these games being Mario 64, and what they did find in the files of this is, yeah, that's Luigi. 24 years after the launch of Mario 64, Luigi was finally proven to be real. He was going to be a playable character in Mario 64, but the N64 just didn't have the power to host 2 players in this game. Okay, so Luigi was meant to be in the game. That's amazing. But what about this statue? What is it even saying? Turns out it's just a ported model from Ocarina of Time. It doesn't really mean anything. Blowing into cartridges. Ever since cartridges were introduced for home gaming, people have had a lot of issues with them. Whether it be stuff getting into the cartridge like dust or water, or even putting it in wrong, lots of people had issues here and there. And with all of these issues came a rumor of the easy fix: blowing into the cartridge. People believed, including myself, I'm not judging, that if you blow into the cartridge it would get rid of any gunk or dust that stopped these things from working. And, well, that's not true. Lots of people believed if it wasn't getting stuff out of it, that it would make the insides of the cartridge somehow run better, and it turns out blowing into a cartridge does nothing. All of those times you've blown into a cartridge, it's in fact, if anything, hurt that game. Blowing into it and then it magically working was just a placebo. What made the game work after you blew on it was simply putting it into the system again. Whether it be you were putting it in wrong or the system was just being buggy, it had nothing to do with blowing into it at all. Turns out, blowing into a cartridge could actually damage certain connectors inside by slowly corroding them away. So the whole trick of fixing your game was taking it out and putting it back in again. Ermac fight. In the original Mortal Kombat, you would occasionally have your character turn red and the name Ermac replace your character's name. At the time, everyone thought this was some hidden character, but it turns out that wasn't what was happening. The phrase Ermac is actually short for Error Macros, and the red costume being the testing costume the developers used. So a lot of people were disappointed when Ermac wasn't a character in Mortal Kombat 2, but the developers heard their cries, and in the release of Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 was him, Ermac. Ermac was made an official character in Mortal Kombat and was here to stay, even making it into the modern Mortal Kombat games. Tier 2. Bill's Secret Garden. Back when Pokemon Red and Blue released, gaming was sort of starting to take off like crazy, and Pokemon got a lot of that gaming attention. Pokemon took over everywhere, and tons of rumors about this game spread amongst its players, one of which being Bill's Secret Garden. Outside of Bill the Scientist's house was a grassy path that could be seen stretching north. Unfortunately though, there was no legitimate way to follow this path and see where it leads. Rumors spread that extremely rare Pokemon, including the game's 3 otherwise uncatchable starting Pokemon, could be found there. Even though there was no legitimate way of reaching there, there was still a way, through hacking. When you hacked the game and got back there, it turns out there was just nothing. It was an unfortunately empty garden with not a Pokemon in sight. Stop and Swap. The N64 is a pretty durable console. There's not much to it, and there's not much you can break with it. The most easily broken spot would be inside of the game's cartridge, where, as previously mentioned, blowing into it could cause too many issues. That's why the Stop and Swap feature was removed from Banjo-Kazooie. Stop and Swap was hinted at in one of the ending cinematics for Banjo-Kazooie, showing different hidden eggs and an ice key for 100%ing the game, and these items would supposedly help you in the next game in the series, Banjo-Tooie. The whole way you would do this stop and swap would be by collecting an egg in the first game and quickly swapping cartridges into the second game. And on the N64 this was possible, but it was because of a flaw. The N64 allowed RAM to linger longer than intended after pulling out a cartridge, but Nintendo didn't like this idea, as it could possibly damage the cartridge and system. Plus, Nintendo was planning on doing fixes for the N64 where this flaw wouldn't exist anymore. So, unfortunately, this was never made into the game, but at E3 2008, it was revealed that this feature would return for the Xbox Live Arcade version of the game. And so, when Banjo-Tooie released in 2009 for the Xbox Live Arcade, you could finally do the infamous and, well, not so scrapped, Stop and Swap. Mash A to catch. Mashing A to catch Pokemon was a massive rumor that I even came across when playing my first Pokemon games. Lots of people believed that mashing the A button after you threw a Pokeball would significantly increase your chance of catching it, and, well, it didn't. And I can't blame anyone for believing this. I mean, I did it to myself and even now do it out of habit. Even if it doesn't increase your chances, it's, I don't know, a nice good luck charm. I still can't stop doing it. Bigfoot in San Andreas. The GTA series has been known to have many secrets, rumors, cut beta content, but this one is by far the most popular. When GTA San Andreas came out, there were a lot of rumors of Bigfoot being seen in the woods of the game. The closest modern rumor/hoax like this is Herobrine in Minecraft, and just like him, there was never any real footage of Bigfoot being in the game. It was all just story spread amongst the fans of San Andreas, and anyone who had claimed to see it probably just saw a weird tree. 17th Colossus. In the game Shadow of Colossus, there's 16 different colossi you must defeat, and this game is known for having a lot of them. These colossi being really well designed and extremely massive. But the game's creator initially planned for the game to include 48 colossi, the plural of Colossus by the way, before realizing that hardware limitations would render that impossible, and scaled it back to 24. From there, a further 8 colossi were cut, those 8 being Aberth the Spider, Adar the Phoenix, Dionin the Worm, Chios the Griffin, Monkey, Folix the Devil, and lastly, Sirius the Boar. Rumors spread soon after the release of the game about a secret 17th Colossi that would have been found somewhere in the game, which, if it was real, would have been one of these 8. The most popular rumor is that it would have been Sirius the Boar or Dionin the Worm, since their texture files were still left in the game. But yeah, unfortunately, to this day, there hasn't been a 17th Colossus found. Tier 3. Marty the Thwomp. This is Marty, a Thwomp locked up in Bowser's castle in Mario Kart for the N64. We don't know anything about Marty aside from, well, his name. But similarly to Luigi, there was a rumor going around that you could unlock him as a playable character. Most of the evidence for this was from this video, where you could supposedly unlock Marty, but if you look when the video was uploaded, yeah, it It was just an April Fool's prank. So, unlocking Marty is all just a hoax. 10th class. Ever since its release in 2007, Team Fortress 2 has only had 9 classes. And, well, people wanted more. Obviously, there was these 9, which are still iconic and great, but why not add another? Robin Walker, the co-creator of Team Fortress 2, in an interview stated, "We've got several new class designs floating around, some of which we like a lot, but right now we're focusing on the broadening of our existing classes through the addition of the unlockables." However, he later retracted that statement, saying, "A 10th class is something we'd really like to do, it's just an order of magnitude of more work and adding a new unlockable." Also, the 9 classes provide a wide variety of gameplay for us, and often we find that new class ideas are more just like subclasses of an existing class. In some cases, we're able to design an unlockable that provides a boost to that style of play, essentially creating the new subclass of that game. So, making a 10th class wasn't entirely out of the picture, but it was pretty unlikely. So, this is where the hoax comes in. In 2009, fans of the game created a fake update called the Guard Dog Update that proposed a 10th class called the Guard Dog, an armed German Shepherd with a machine gun strapped to its back and the ability to carry ammo and health boxes to its teammates, and track down respawned enemy players by sniffing their corpses. On November 21st, 2009, Valve officially confirmed this was a fake update made by fans. So, unfortunately, we didn't get this dog class in TF2, or, well, any new content in TF2, if you've been following that recently. Sparky the Dog. The rumor of Sparky the Dog is an old one for Five Nights at Freddy's fans. After the amazing launch of FNAF, someone began spreading rumors of a 6th hidden animatronic called Sparky the Dog. Screenshots began to crop up on different sites like Tumblr. Reportedly, Sparky the Dog would be a one-armed, non-violent animatronic, occasionally appearing in the backstage doorway. However, it was eventually revealed as a hoax by his creators, with all of the screenshots of being photoshopped. And normally that would be it, just another rumored character that wasn't real, but in a way he was real? Last October, the FNAF movie came out, and there was many different references and Easter eggs. I mean, MatPat was in the movie, so Scott Cawthon, the maker of FNAF and co-writer/producer of the movie, for sure understood the community and what parts were iconic. Like Sparky. This is an actual shot from the movie showing Sparky the Dog, a fake animatronic sort of turned real. This has to be by far one of the most amazing outcomes of any video game rumor or hoax. Sonic and Tails in Melee. For an April Fool's Day prank, Electronic Gaming Monthly published a short article claiming that Sega's Sonic and Tails would appear in Smash Melee as secret unlockable characters. According to their article, players would have to defeat 20 enemies in the game's Cruel Melee mode. Doing so would cause Sonic and Tails to appear and fight the player simultaneously. Needless to say, this rumor was proved false. However, Sonic creator Yuji Naka claimed in an interview that Sonic was planned to appear in Melee, but was cut to time constraints. Luckily, we did see Sonic in the future Smash games, and he's been a mainstay character ever since. Luigi hangs. In Luigi's mansion, there's a point where light flashes, and you'll see a shadow of what appears to be Luigi unaliving himself. Turns out that this was, well, a glitch. I don't think Nintendo would put anything like this into their game intentionally. But yeah, it's just a lighting glitch. Shadows in Luigi's mansion are placed on the screen according to where the camera is, and in this room it's abnormally low. So when the lightning flashes, we get this shadow more elevated looking, and, well, it looks like something else happened. But no, it was just a glitch and in fact removed in the 3DS version of Luigi's Mansion. Kekrok. Kekrok is a rumored video game released in 1993 for the Sega Genesis by Web Vision Interactive. The game has been described as low effort and unlicensed, generally appearing in the clearance sections of various local discount stores throughout the 1990s and early 2000s. I say rumored because no one really knows if this game is real or not. There's some supposed gameplay on YouTube, but it seems to be a fan recreation. If this is actually a real game, which I don't think it is, but if it was actual gameplay, I'm sure this isn't what people were expecting. Silent Hill Ambulance Ending. The original Silent Hill had 5 different endings, and players believed they were missing out on possible hidden endings or endings just not talked about. So the rumor of the ambulance ending came to be. According to the rumor, finishing the game on hard difficulty with at least a 9 out of 10 ranking will change the next playthrough, allowing for another ending. Doing this will, on your next playthrough, allow you to collect the bottle of distilled water and glucose in the Midwich Elementary School. items which were unattainable before. Collecting both of these would allow you to construct an explosive that would let you blow open the traffic gate across from the Alchemilla Hospital. Doing so nets you an oil can, which you can use on the engine at the gas station later in the game. Finally, taking the engine would allow you to place it in the abandoned ambulance near the hospital and drive it out. This would let you get an ending where Harry rampages through the town in this ambulance. There's no concrete evidence of this existing, and, well, since the game's been out for so long, I doubt it's real, but who knows? After all, this game does have an alien ending, so ending the game driving around an ambulance to get away isn't entirely unbelievable. Waluigi in Super Mario 64 DS. Nintendo made a sort of port of Mario 64 for the DS in 2004. If you've played this or seen gameplay of it, you can tell it's quite a bit different. Aside from the, well, amazing video games, you didn't even play as Mario at the start of the game. You played as Yoshi and had to free Mario, Luigi, and Wario. So yeah, very different. But the unlocking of these characters was a bit odd. You'd have to get a key for each one of these doors, and you've got one for Luigi, then Mario, then Wario. But what about the one on the right? It has a white border, and while there's no main Mario character as white for their color, so maybe it's a secret character? After all, only the 4 characters were on the cover, but it's not unlike Nintendo to have great secrets in their games like this. Well, unfortunately, in reality, by unlocking this door, you'll get a sound of Boo's laughing and be kicked out of the room, giving you a hidden power star. This one I'd say I'm the most disappointed about. I mean, I loved playing this game growing up and always thought Waluigi had to be in it somehow, but who knows? Maybe it's a Luigi's situation where in the original Mario 64, he would have been in it and got cut. Maybe Waluigi was originally intended to be in this game. Tier 4. Noki Bay Book. In Super Mario Sunshine, you can find an oddly placed book found in the mission Red Coins in a Bottle. This book is placed inside of a rock formation behind a door that doesn't open. Many people believe that this book was a way to somehow get into a secret level or hidden message, but the book ended up being patched out of the game, and now it seems that it was just a misplaced asset that was meant to be removed. Silent Hill Boat Ending. Just like the rumored ambulance ending, in Silent Hill, another ending that people believed to exist was the boat ending. I even thought this was real when I was playing the game for the first time a few months ago. The main reason so many people think this is real is that the dialogue is a bit confusing. Interacting with a ship would cause text to pop up on the screen saying, "There's a ship wheel. Don't worry about that now though." Which the, now makes it sound like you'd be able to come back later and interact with it for an ending. But in reality, you unfortunately can't. Deku Butler's Son. Near the beginning of the game, after entering the realm of Termina, the player will encounter a strange tree that closely resembles the plant-like Deku tree race in The Legend of Zelda. However, this Deku appears to be frozen in place. Later in the game, Link learns the Song of Healing from the Happy Mask Salesman, which allows him to help lost souls pass on and heal affliction. Even later in that game, Link makes his way through the throne room of the Deku Palace. Inside the throne room is an NPC known as the Deku Butler. The Deku Butler plays a minor role at first, but he later gives you the Mask of Sense and tells Link that he reminds you of his son, who disappeared some time ago. During the game's credits, the Deku Butler can be seen mourning at the base of the Mishappen tree, indicating that the tree is indeed his missing son. This led to rumors that the Deku Butler's son could be returned to his true form by some method, usually involving the Song of Healing. However, after entering the Termina Clock Tower, the path back to the deformed tree is locked off. You can cheat or use exploits to get past this, but unfortunately no amount of playing the Song of Healing, whether in Link's regular or Deku Shrub form, will heal the Deku Butler's son. Master Hand Playable. When the original Super Smash Bros. Released for the N64, people were expecting it to be good, but probably not the 5th best-selling game on the console good. So yeah, this was the start of an absolutely massive franchise that got to have a game for pretty much every main Nintendo console. And this franchise normally doesn't change much from the original. All people want from the Smash games are new maps and new characters to play as. And this was the case in the original as well. There were only 12 playable characters in the game and 9 maps, and well, that's a lot of content, but the more the merrier. So people looked for secret characters. And the one that stood out as a possible secret playable character was the Master Hand. The character was the final fight in the main single player mode and had never officially been playable, so rumors spread about different ways of unlocking him, like going through the multiplayer on all characters without taking any damage. But you never unlocked the Master Hand, that was all a hoax. There were even videos uploaded to YouTube showing how to play as the Master Hand on N64 N64, but those were all modded versions of the game. But this is different for Smash Melee on GameCube. Although you can't normally choose the Master Hand as a character, there is a way to sort of play as him. Every playable Smash character in Smash Melee has an ID number, and Nintendo, most likely for some testing reasons, assigned one for the Master Hand, 1A, which in the list of character IDs happens to be the first. Okay, but why does this matter? Well, through a sequence of hitting A and B, you can make it start the match without technically choosing a character. This for some reason only works if you have the controller in slot 3, by the way. So, with the game having to start a match without a character chosen, it'll default you to the first ID'd character in the list. Well, this is Master Hand. It's very buggy and not designed for someone to actually play as, but you can use all of the moves he uses in single player, like shooting lasers, swiping at the ground, running towards the player on 2 fingers, and for some reason all of these attacks are bound to the D-pad. But you don't get to move the hand. All of the movement is done by using these different attacks. So, in the end, turns out the rumor is true. You do actually get to play as the Master Hand. Purple Yoshi. Yoshi's Story is a platformer game for the N64. The player has a choice of 6 different colored Yoshis to use as a character: green, red, yellow, blue, cyan, and pink. You can also unlock 2 additionally colored Yoshis by finding them in different levels, one black and one white. But various cheat and walkthrough websites online began supporting claims of an unlockable purple Yoshi, which could only be accessed if the players collected every single coin in the game. The purple Yoshi enjoyed widespread attention, being found on a plethora of otherwise reputable gaming sites, and the general lack of variation in the fabricated instructions on how to unlock it made gamers believe this one could actually be unlockable. Further complicating matters is the matter of the game's start menu background and opening cutscene, both of which show 6 stock playable Yoshis rendered in Yoshi's Island-esque storybook style, with the pink Yoshi appearing to be purple due to the engine lighting. Over the years, many people tried to find a way to unlock purple Yoshi, but to no avail. So, even though the purple Yoshi was never in the final release of the game, it doesn't mean that it's not real. The beta was a very different story. Instead of there being a white and pink Yoshi, it would have been purple and brown. So, this was for sure a hoax, but at some point Nintendo was planning to have purple Yoshi in the game. Golden Warthog. Through Halo 2, there's numerous billboards displaying a yellow-colored Warthog vehicle, formerly known as the Civilian Warthog. According to rumors, players can access and pilot this elusive vehicle by starting a multiplayer match on the Headlong map. Through a long set of instructions, you would be able to get this, which I'll fast forward for you. Unfortunately, this is nothing but a hoax. Going into the game's files reveals that a Golden Warthog doesn't even exist. The Golden Warthog would eventually make its way into Halo 2 Anniversary within its multiplayer and Forge modes, though. Tier 5. Brutus the Bulldog. Fans of the original Animal Crossing for the GameCube began spreading stories of an evil villager named Brutus, who would move into the player's village if the player was away from their village for too long. Brutus, also known as Bertus, was allegedly a purple or black dog with a black shirt and glowing red eyes. On moving in, Brutus would do many unusual things, like speaking in binary and crashing the game when the player enters their house. There's no real evidence of this character existing, so as of now, I'd say it's a hoax. GTA 3 Ghost Town. In the intro cinematic for GTA 3, you do a bank robbery in a part of Liberty City that you can't normally visit, but people wanted to see if they could find it. Lots of people said you couldn't and that it was all a hoax, but it turns out if you fly to this part of the map, you'll actually come across what players call Ghost Town. Really sick being able to see this part of the game that developers didn't intend for people to see, and well, you can see that they didn't really put a whole lot into it. Not that they needed to, but it's basically just a street that you can't land on, and if you get too close to the road, you'll phase through it and crash your game. GTA 4 Ratman. So this one is up for your interpretation. The Ratman is one of 2 things: a literal Ratman, who is described as a tall, half-man, half-rat creature who will attack the player, or a homeless person that can run very quickly and likes to stay out of sight. Both types report the same actions: running away into a tunnel or near a station, sometimes shouting, "I am Ratman" to the player. The myth all started when a photo was put onto the internet that looked like a humanoid rat with a torso of an adult human male. Some people believe the photo is fake and that it's photoshopped, or that it's too blurry to tell what it is. There is a lot of evidence that proves Ratman is real, though. If the player goes to the Easton Subway surface station entrance in Easton, Algonquin, and then heads downstairs, there will be a strange orange liquid on the floor that is suspected to be blood. In fact, several of these orange pools of liquid can be found in various places is inside the underground subway system. There's also some more of this Ratman blood on the abandoned hospital's roof. Some say it's old dried up blood from hospital victims that died in that specific area. Others believe that Ratman blood is motor oil stains because there's motor oil cans on the roof of the hospital. In the DLCs, if the player watches TV, a Weasel news segment will say the mayor is going to flood the subways due to a rat infestation. Also, if the player uses a computer and goes onto Craplist in the jobs section, there will be an ad for human lab rats. It's said that the Ratman appears when players least expect it and he's extremely fast. He can also disappear whenever he wants, according to some players. Because of the popularity of this myth, there seems to be many attempts to find Ratman in the game's internal files. Searches have been futile, but it is possible that there's something still hidden in the code. Ratman continues to this day to be one of the most popular and elusive myths in GTA 4. All bonds. There was a secret code going around in the late 90s that you could put into GoldenEye and unlock all 4 James Bonds to be playable. But it wasn't real. This is another case of Electronic Gaming Monthly spreading things like this on April Fools and getting talked about it all the time. But in 2020, there was an interview with the developers of the game, and they said originally that they were going to have the original 4 bonds in the game, but last minute cut it because of legal reasons. Interestingly, the tuxedo bodies of all 4 James Bond actors exist in the files of Perfect Dark to be selected in the multiplayer modes, under the names of Dinner Jacket. 1987. When the original Five Nights at Freddy's game came out, it was an instant success. I could tell you so many stories about how the game took over the school I was in and everyone I knew ended up playing it. But one of the main draws was that it was easy to pick up and play. Sure, the game got significantly harder throughout the nights, but you don't need to pay attention to story because it's very difficult to understand and never really told to you. Although, one of the few things you do get to know through the phone calls in the game is about the Bite of 87, a supposed accident with an animatronic and a child in 1987. And this became very iconic. It was a big piece of lore and it sounded pretty intense at the time for FNAF lore. So in the custom night mode, people started spreading rumors that if you put in the difficulties left to right, 1987 or 1987, you would get a night different from normal custom night. And this originally wasn't true. Nothing happened, but it got to be so popular that the creator of FNAF, Scott Cawthon, added it in as an Easter egg. So now, when you put in 1987 as the difficulty, this happens. Luigi in Sunshine. Just like with Mario 64, people thought that there was a way to unlock Luigi in Super Mario Sunshine. Rumors were that it was possible to unlock Luigi by collecting all of the game's 120 Shine sprites, causing the character Waluigi to appear in Delfino Plaza, the game's main hub, along with Luigi, who was trapped in a cage. Defeating Waluigi as a secret boss fight would suddenly unlock Luigi as a playable character. But unfortunately, the game's files don't contain any code relating to this at all. Play as Nitrous Oxide. Soon after the release of Crash Bandicoot Kart Racing, photographs began to surface online that appeared to show the game's main antagonist, alien overlord Nitrous Oxide, as a playable racer, a feat that normally can't be accomplished in the game. A lot of different methods went around for unlocking him, but none worked. However, codes soon began to surface online for the Game Shark, an old cheating device. One of these codes did, in fact, allow the player to play as Nitrous Oxide. However, he only works in certain courses and causes the game to crash after a short time. Developers later revealed that him being playable is merely a glitch and was not an intention at all. In late fall of 2018, it was announced that a remake of the game, to be titled Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled, was being developed by Beanox, and was confirmed that Nitrous Oxide will officially be playable in the game. Ghost Cars in San Andreas. While wandering through the Back-O Beyond, a part of the San Andreas forest filled with weird mysteries, you'll be able to see these cars, normally called Glendales, but now they're wrecked, and Rockstar decided to name them Glen Shits in the Files. But the whole mystery around these cars is that they're haunted, and that they'll somehow start up and drive around out of nowhere. And, well, this is somewhat true. These cars spawn on top of slopes, so when you render them in, originally on older hardware where it's a shorter render distance, you'll see them just start to move out of nowhere, despite being a wrecked car with no one in the driver's seat. So no, these cars aren't haunted or anything, but I think Rockstar did place them there to sort of give the illusion as if they were. Tier 6. Ocarina of Time and Desert Pyramid. Rumors of a secret dungeon hidden in Ocarina of Time began spreading after the discovery that the game's Song of Storms, in a specific location in the Haunted Wastelands, caused lightning to flash and revealed a large pyramid-shaped structure in the distance. The sandstorms on the area's border normally prevent the player from reaching it, but cheating allows one to reach it. Unfortunately, no hidden dungeon exists. The pyramid is actually just a large pointy rock. Pikachu hates Sony. Hey You Pikachu was a game released for the N64 that required a microphone add-on. Pikachu would recognize what you say from a long list of words and react in different ways. Like if you said something like Thunderbolt, it would make him use that move, or something like Happy would make him happy. The players discovered saying Sony or PlayStation would make him turn mad. Turns out that yes, these words said in specific ways being misinterpreted could do that, but from the list of 200 words that Pikachu recognized, neither of these two were there. Cake ending. Spoilers for Portal 1, by the way. I know it's old, but still. At the end of Portal, after you get dragged back into Aperture, you'll get this cinematic, where it zooms down deep in the complex, revealing a cake. Throughout the whole game, GLaDOS promised a cake if Shell, the main character, completed all of the test chambers. So this was a big deal. Players thought the cake might have not been a lie after all. So rumors started floating around of a cake ending, where you could actually see this cake in person. And, well, in a way you can. Seeing this cake requires you to do a lot of glitches, but you can get there and see it. Now obviously this isn't a real ending, but it is satisfying to see, finally in person. Evil auto kills. Now in the year 2024, gaming's been a thing for a good number of years to say the least. And with those many years comes a lot of different stories. Sometimes, though, they're fatal. There's many different cases of people passing away playing video games. Popular one being in a Chinese internet cafe, someone played games for 42 hours straight and collapsed, not waking up. Stories like this nowadays are pretty rare, but not as shocking as they would have been in, say, 1982, when gaming was in its very early stages. And that's where this entry is from, a 1980 game called Berserk. In this game, you'd control a green man fighting off robots in a cramped maze with a laser gun. You'd get hit from a range by the robots, but the main unique part of this game is Evil Auto. A function of Evil Auto, represented by a bouncing smiley face, is to quicken the pace of the game. Auto was unusual with regard to games of the period, as he's indestructible. Auto can go through walls and hunt the player. If robots remain in the maze, Auto moves slowly, about half as fast as the player, but he speeds up to match the humanoid speed once all the robots are killed. Evil Auto moves at exactly the same speed the player is going, left and right, but he can move faster than the players going up and down. Thus, no matter what you do, how close you are to Auto, a player can escape as long as they avoid going up or down. It is difficult though, like this sounds scary. It was so scary that in 1982, someone with an issue with their heart unfortunately got their hands on this game and passed away from a heart attack while playing. The coroner ruled that the heart attack was caused by scarring of the heart tissue, and it would have happened in any form of adrenaline coming out of nowhere. Just unfortunately happened with this video game, and this caused rumors about this game just killing anyone that plays. That obviously wasn't true, but at the time, with video games being so new and people thinking they're something of the devil sometimes, it makes sense why this got so blown out of the water. Solving Baldi's math. Indie horror games weren't always super massive. Sure, they had their spots on YouTube, but it wasn't until the release of FNAF that it got to be extremely mainstream. Since FNAF released, there's been many other indie horror games that got big, like Hello Neighbor, Granny, Bendy, I mean the list goes on. And a standout game, at least for me, is Baldi's Basics. A game where you have to go around to school completing different math problems in notebooks. Their first few are fine, but then you mess up the last problem of the second notebook, and it's inevitable. I mean, look at this problem, you can't do it. So after that, you have to finish collecting 7 notebooks to escape, each notebook making him faster, since in theory they would have all been wrong answers. But people have spread rumors about possibly being able to solve this problem and the game ending up differently. And although it does seem possible, I could for sure see some number like 42 being the answer or something. As of now, there's no correct answer. Tier 7, Moss Deep Rocket. After the release of Pokémon Ruby and Sapphire, players began to spread rumors revolving around the Moss Deep Space Center in Moss Deep City. Supposedly, when the number of successful rocket launches rose to a specific number, either 50, 99, or 100, players would be able to stow aboard the rocket and ride it into space. Once in space, players would allegedly be allowed to catch Jirachi and Deoxys. This rumor turned out to be false, but when the games were eventually remade on the 3DS as Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, rumor, players were actually able to venture into space on the back of Rayquaza, which did allow players to catch Deoxys. This feature being in the remakes may or may not have been directly influenced from these rumors, but it is extremely close, so I'd say they are. Beating the Running Man. In Ocarina of Time, there's a point where you have to race this man, and no matter how good you do, how fast you go, he'll always beat you by at least a second, he says. So, this sparked rumors of a possible way of beating him, maybe some secret path or speed boost, and many people claim they did beat him in one way or another, but it turns out it was impossible. Even with cheating, the man would always beat you, so no matter how many videos or posts there are about this guy, it's still completely impossible to beat him. Misfortune.gb. Misfortune.gb is very much along the lines of Lavender Town Syndrome, a supposed part of Pokemon where upon entering Lavender Town, the game would make high-pitched sounds, causing deaths of children. Misfortune.gb is a rumor around a fake game of the same name. In this game, the player controls what appears to be a young boy in a strange gothic building. After briefly exploring their environment, they are confronted by a malevolent being. Upon meeting the mysterious creature, a dialogue box will appear with the text, "I exist within the very fabric of reality. Do you want to challenge me?" This is followed with a yes or no choice. Should the player choose yes, he replies, "Then let's begin." Once you do that, you have to go through a massive maze. Before going into this maze, a dialogue box will appear that reads, "Choose wrong direction and misfortune will befall your loved ones. Are you ready to play?" Should the player make a mistake at any point throughout the game, the screen will cut to black before showing a more detailed image of the creature, along with a dialogue box reading, "I am God here," in what appears to be a blood-styled writing. A whole bunch of rumors came out of this about allegedly harmful effects, but it turns out that it's just a fake game. So very interesting in concept, and I'm sure there are fan games out there, but this never officially existed. Goldeen Horndrill. In Smash Bros. Melee, Goldeen is one of the helper Pokemon that can be summoned during a match. Unlike others, however, Goldeen merely flops around uselessly and does nothing productive. In the description for the in-game trophy of Goldeen, the last sentence reads, "Goldeen's Horndrill is so strong it can KO any enemy with one strike if it connects." This one-off statement talking about Goldeen and the Pokemon franchise led to many rumors about Goldeen maybe having a very small chance of using Horndrill during the match, instantly KOing anyone. But it turns out this was just referring to Pokemon, not Smash Bros. Hunter Ghost. The October 2001 issue of Nintendo Power magazine contains different pages promoting Luigi's Mansion. One of their promotional blurbs reads, "When your ghoul-busting mission takes you to a trophy room, proceed with caution. If you meet up with the ghost of a hunter, you will want to add Luigi to his collection." However, no such hunter ghost exists in the game, but that didn't stop rumors from spreading around how to encounter him. The general consensus is that the mention of a hunter ghost in the blurb was merely a playful description of the safari room in the game. As expected, no data for a hunter ghost exists in the game. Tier 8. Content warning for mentions of these things listed here. Columbine Doom Map. After the Columbine shooting, it was discovered that both shooters were very big fans of Doom. Soon after this discovery, rumors spread, primarily due to mainstream media at the time, that one of the shooters had created a custom level that was an exact replica of Columbine High School to practice for their attack. While numerous poorly made levels were known to have been made by him, the rumor involving this fabled Columbine level are refuted by the fact that the engine used for Doom is incapable of rendering levels with multiple floors, thus making it impossible to accurately recreate the school. That and the fact that the FBI did an investigation into them after the incident, and there was no evidence of this map ever found. Scrupulous Fingor. On April 23, 2021, the account known as Cut and Obscure Video Game Content posted a tweet about this character. They went on to describe that there was a cut ghost enemy referred to as Scrupulous Fingor. He added that developer Miyamoto disregarded questions about this character and seemed upset. This tweet gained a lot of traction and many people believed it was real until Polygon posted an article about it being a hoax. Houlihan Room. Before A Link to the Past's release, Nintendo Power ran a competition with a grand prize winner having their name in a secret room of the game. A room so secret that few would find it. The winner's name was Chris Houlihan. The room itself was nothing special. It contains 45 blue rupees and a telepathic tile that says, "My name is Chris Houlihan. This is my top secret room." Keep it between us, okay? When you exit the room, you appear in front of Link's house. Over time, a variety of methods emerged for entering the Houlihan room, as it was very confusing to find. Eventually, players found a consistent way of getting in, and now it's a permanent location in the iconic Zelda game. A lot of people seem to think that Nintendo ended up making a fake name for the contest winner and didn't let any one person have their own name for the room, but I don't know. Nintendo's strict about stuff, but this seems like a stretch. Creepy Castle Pillar. In the Creepy Castle level of Donkey Kong 64, if you play as Tiny and do a long sequence of steps, you'll be put right in front of a short stone pillar with a purple banana balloon circling it. The room itself seems to be only for the purple balloon, as the pillar itself does absolutely nothing. Rumors began to spread around what the pillar is for. Some claim that the pillar was related to Banjo-Kazooie's Stop and Swap, as data for the game's Ice Key hints that Stop and Swap was intended to have some presence in Donkey Kong 64. Rare has confirmed that the pillar had a purpose at some point in development, but whatever it was cut and they don't remember. Dragonite evolves into Yoshi. The April 1999 Expert Gamer magazine displayed an article allegedly detailing a method to get the Pokemon Dragonite to evolve into Yoshi. According to the method, obtaining this ridiculous-sounding feat required 2 people, one with Pokemon Blue, one with Red. Both players would need to have caught all the Pokemon up to that point, all 150, and then trade Dratini to one player, evolve it to Dragonite, and trade it back. Then through some surfing through caves and using a Firestone, you could evolve Dragonite into Yoshi, which would allegedly be number 999 in the Pokédex. As expected though, like I said, this article was in April. You can guess, April Fool's Day joke. Tier 9, Woody's Workshop. Many different cheat websites claim that there's a secret level called Woody's Workshop in the game Toy Story 2 Buzz Lightyear to the Rescue. Supposedly, this level would feature Woody giving the player a lot of cheat codes for the game. According to virtually every version of the rumor, players would need to collect 100 coins in the game's first level, Andy's house, and return to Ham, who would then show Buzz the way to the workshop. The problem with this rumor is simple. The Andy's house level only had 97 coins in total, making collecting 100 impossible. Even using cheats to raise the coin counter to 99 and collecting one more coin, the rumor proves false, as the coin counter actually maxes out at 99 in the first level. Kill Switch. Kill Switch is similar to Polybius in that it's an urban legend about whether or not the game exists at all, rather than anything specific about it. The game was supposedly developed by Czechoslovakian company Carvina Corporation, and only 5,000 copies were released. According to the legend, the game was unique in that it could only ever be played once. When the player died, the game erased itself from their system, making it unplayable. The game has 2 different characters to play as, although only one scenario can be completed due to the aforementioned single playthrough. The characters were a girl named Porto and an invisible demon named Gast. As it turns out, Kill Switch is not a real game. Instead, it originated as a creepypasta. Tricket. The fabled Tricket was a fake Pokemon in Pokemon Red and Blue, a strange bug type, notable for the elaborate, yet at the time, believable way to unlock it. According to the rumor, players would need to fill out 6 slots of their party with different bug-type Pokemon, then put those in a specific box in their PC, catch some more bug-type Pokemon, and finally, after beating the Elite Four with the 6 bug Pokemon, Professor Oak would supposedly appear and ask the player if they were a bug collector. Answering yes to this question would supposedly cause Professor Oak to lead to a cage containing a level 65 Tricket. This Pokemon knew the moves Spore, Twin Needle, Mega Kick, and Sing. As said at the start, it's not real, but it's surprisingly in-depth for a hoax, especially how old it is. Chocolate Factory Level. In one of his How to Win at Nintendo Games guidebooks, author Jeff Roven mentioned that he heard rumors of a secret level in Mario, a level involving a chocolate factory. He claimed he had no idea how to access it, but the mere suggestion was all fans needed to start digging through the game in order to find it. As it turns out, this wasn't real at all. The rumor wasn't real at all. The author actually put this in here to see if other people would plagiarize his work, and other authors did, so there's a lot of old guidebooks talking about this level, which just copied off of Jeff Roven. Lickitung evolves into Luigi. In April of 1999, the official Nintendo website posted an article supposedly explaining how to get the Pokemon Lickitung to evolve into Luigi. Luigi's designation was number 160 in the Pokédex, and he was the only representative of the Plumber type. According to the article, Luigi had many different signature moves involving wrench and family reunion. According to the method, the players would need to capture a Lickitung, specifically in an Ultra Ball, and then stand in the same spot in which a Snorlax had previously been blocking a bridge east of Vermilion City. Players would then have to turn their Game Boy upside down, and while upside down, feed Lickitung a rare candy. If the process had been done correctly, Lickitung would evolve into Luigi. As expected though, this entire process was an April Fool's Day prank. Tier 10. Nimbus Terrafo. Nimbus Terrafo was a gag created by Electronic Gaming Monthly, as supposedly a hidden character exclusive to the Genesis version of the first Mortal Kombat. Although it was a prank, like everything Electronic Gaming does apparently, even his name hints to it being a joke, as Terrafo translated to fake Earth or fake land. While believed to be an April Fool's gag from EGM, the character was mentioned in the December 1993 issue and mentioned again in March of 1994's issue. Still fake, just a lot of dedication. Rankles the Otter. On page 70 of its 11th issue, the UK version of the Sega magazine published an article claiming that there was a secret character hidden in Sonic & Knuckles. This character was Rankles, the green otter with large spiky ankles and Knuckles' sidekick. Magazine promised £1 million to the first person to photograph Rankles in the game. At the bottom of the article, they admit Rankles was purely a fictitious character and didn't exist in the game, but many young gamers didn't read that far. This led to endless futile speculation as to how to unlock Rankles. In hindsight, it's clear that the artwork from Rankles was nothing more than a green color swap of Knuckles, with a few differences, but yeah, a lot of kids wanted a secret character and unfortunately they didn't get it. And for our last entry, all game hoaxes are real. This is a theory that no matter what people say or prove, that all gaming hoaxes are real. And I'll leave you with that possibility, although I don't believe it. But before you guys go, my dad's been doing YouTube as well, and it would just mean the world to me if you could go over and support him. His channel's right here on the screen and on my page. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one, and have a great rest of your day, week, month. Thank you so much for the recent support. It really means a lot. Have a great rest of your day.